Good evening, everyone, and welcome to ATP Live Monday. I am Bimi Salapoide, and I'm going to be taking any question you have about your children health issues for the next 1 hour. So, welcome wherever you're watching from, whether you're watching on Instagram, on Facebook, on YouTube, whichever platform you're watching from. I want to specially welcome you. I hope you can hear me and I hope you can see me. Let me know you can do that. And if you're watching a repeat the program after the live session, I want to specially welcome you as well. So this program is brought to you by Ask the Pediatricians Foundation. We are fully committed to the health and the welfare of your children, and we do that through our health education information platforms and as well as through our community outreaches. So this program is one of those platforms where you get to interface with a pediatrician and ask questions about the health of your children. So I want to specially welcome you, and I'm also going to try and share the video to all our groups and pages and make sure they are pinned and make sure everybody can hear me and everybody can see me. So start dropping your comments. Let me know you are there. If you have questions, drop them. If you want to just say hello, let us know you are there. So feel free to do that right now. And then after that, we can start to take your questions. Remember, we have just 1 hour on this platform. So let's make sure we maximize time. So share the video if you are able to whichever platform, on WhatsApp, on Instagram, whichever, send this to your friends. Let them come and join you to learn as well. So let's do that quickly. I'm also trying to share them also on my own page. Um, okay, I'm trying to find, yeah. So I'm trying to share to our groups to make sure that everybody can see and hear. So while I'm doing that, feel free to start dropping your questions, comments, so that we will know. And I want somebody to tell me what is special about today. I'll see whether somebody can get that. And what gift will I give to the person? Okay. I'll think of a gift. All right. So if you know what is special about today, tell me in the comment section. Okay. Thank you, Gifted Beauty. You can hear me. Thank you for letting me know. You can hear me. All right. So, all right. I think I've shared to our groups now, and I think I just need to pin them. Make sure everybody can see it as well. So, what is special about today? If you have been following ATP, definitely you will know because you must have seen that. So, all right. So let's see who will get that question. But in the interim, I'm just trying to share the videos to make sure everybody can see it. Oh no, what am I doing? Community back. All right. All right. Okay, so just 1 more minute and then we can start. I'm just trying to share the videos to make sure that everybody is able to see and they can hear. Okay. One more group. So welcome everyone. Welcome to ATP Live Monday. Some of you are watching me on our Facebook groups, Ask the Pediatricians, ATP Family, ATP Still a Mom, FTM Facebook groups. And some of you are watching on our page, Ask the Pediatricians Foundation page. And some of you are watching on Instagram, ATP Instagram page. And some of you are also watching on YouTube. So whichever platform you're watching, thank you so much for joining us. Feel free to drop your questions. If you are watching on the group, Ask the pediatrician. You can drop your questions straight under the video. I'm going to save them, and I can see some of you already. And if you're watching on our Ask the Pediatric Foundation Facebook page or Instagram page or YouTube channel, you can also drop your question straight under the comment section, and I'm going to see your comments and I'll be able to answer it. But if you are watching on other Facebook groups, like our ATP family, ATP Mom, FTM, you need to click on the video and drop a question directly under the page link that was shared to you. So that's the only way I'll be able to see your question if you have one. But if you don't have any question, it's okay. You can just stay there and watch. All right. So I was asking a question like, what is significant about today? I'm trying to see whether anybody got it. No, nobody has told me yet. All right, nobody has told me on Instagram. Okay, I'm not going to waste our time. Today is what we call International Day of Zero Tolerance Against Female Genital Mutilation. I don't know, I'm sure most of you have heard of female genital mutilation before. We call it female genital cutting, we call it female circumcision. Different people have different names for it, depending on, but they all mean the same thing. So we on Ask the Pediatricians Foundation join the rest of the world to say, please do not circumcise girls. Do not circumcise. I know some of you say, oh, it's my culture, it's my tradition. There is absolutely no benefit in circumcising girls, okay? It is a very dangerous practice. So I'm going to spend the first 5 minutes of this program today to create awareness about FGM and to talk to us ladies, especially because we found out that we women, we are actually the custodian. This is a very, very dangerous practice, barbaric custom. But we women, we are still the one championing it and we're still the one promoting it. And yet we are the ones that are affected by it. So what is female genital mutilation or female genital cutting or female circumcision? Is the process by which some part of the female external genitalia is removed. It could be a little bit cut, it could be a medium cut, it could be total removal, but it is still, no matter what they do something to the female external genitalia, and it is done in the belief that, okay, it will help the girls not to be promiscuous or whatever. So some of them remove everything and they even sew it back. That hopefully when the girls is ready to get married, that's when they can now open it again. This should not be done. There are many dangerous complications of this practice. Number one, bleeding. Girls can bleed to death from that female genital cutting or circumcision. Number two, infection. These are things that can happen immediately. So there are complications that happen immediately, and there are complications that can happen in future. So the first one is bleeding immediately during the process. And if that is not arrested, it can lead to death. We have infection, okay? All this, and sometimes people do it as a whole ceremony for the community, and it is the same blade or the same thing that they use for all the girls. And so introducing infection, most of them will not wash their hands. It's this same whatever tool they're using that they will use. And some of them can even introduce tetanus to the girls as well. So these are things that can happen immediately. Of course, it makes it difficult for the girls to they will be in pain, they'll passing urine and all that will be difficult. But those are even the immediate consequence. But the most dangerous ones are the ones that happen later in life. Number one, these girls will not be able to enjoy sex. Okay, so these are girls because they've taken away all parts of those of the female external genitalia, especially the clitoris, which is one of the most essential parts of the female genitalia that is responsible for pleasure. So these girls may not enjoy sex, they will not have orgasm, they will just be there, and that can affect them psychologically when it comes to when it is not even time for them to have sexual relationship with their husband. Infertility is a major issue. Okay, infertility can arise from the fact that infection is introduced down through the female reproductive system during that process. Infection and all that, it can now lead to the child having infertility later on in life. Another complication that can happen is difficulty with having a baby. When it's time to have a baby, it may be very difficult for some of these girls to be able to push out the baby themselves because of all those manipulations that they've done to that reproductive system. So these are the girls that will struggle and have what we call obstructed labor and all that. So there is absolutely no single benefit in circumcising your girls, okay? And please don't go and say, okay, I will get a professional to do it. It is a criminal offense for a professional, a nurse, to circumcise any girl. Okay, so for some countries like United Kingdom, for example, whether you do it in UK or you do it outside UK, you come back, you'll still be arrested. It's a criminal offense to do it. Okay, so please do not circumcise girls. This has absolutely no benefit. It causes a lot of immediate problems for the girls. It causes a lot of future complications for these girls. So there is absolutely no benefit. And we as girls, as women, as females, we must stand and end anything that is not good. Okay, some of you say, oh, it is our tradition. Yeah, it was your tradition to also kill twins. And we all know it's not good tradition. It was some tradition to be sacrificing human beings, and we know it's not good. So we wake up and we say, no, this is not good. Traditions, customs are made by people, and people can stop them when we know that they are not beneficial. So there's nothing you're benefiting from it. It's causing unnecessary problem, causing unnecessary. It doesn't stop girls from being promiscuous. What will stop girls from being promiscuous is when we train up our girls, when we educate them, when we teach them values, good values of chastity, of going to school, becoming professionals, doing, and then when they're ready to get married, they get married to somebody they love. Those are the things that make our girls want to be promiscuous. It is not the fact that they were circumcised. A lot of girls that are involved in prostitution rings today, they are from those parts of the countries where they practice a lot of female circumcision. So it doesn't stop them from being promiscuous, okay? It has absolutely no benefit. It does not stop anybody from being promiscuous. What will stop our girl from being promiscuous is our good values that we instill into them. So we don't want girls to be circumcised. It is dangerous. It has absolutely no benefit. So if you are still one of those people who practice that, please stop. And not only will you stop, please tell the grandparents. So, and I'm always so amazed when I see women who are educated, who are living in 21st century, who have gone to school, promoting and saying, oh, there's nothing wrong with circumcision. That is pure brainwashing. That is failure of your education. Okay, if you are educated and you're still saying you want your girls to be circumcised, it is absolutely failure of education. So you don't do things just because that is how it has always been done. If it is not good, we got to stop it. And let's imbibe good values. Let's start something that is new, because some people started that culture. We can end it, okay? So we need for female circumcision to become zero. We don't want it anymore because we are causing harm to our girls. So today is that day where we create awareness about female genital mutilation, female genital cutting. It is still prevalent in Nigeria, especially in the north, in the east, especially, and some part of the west as well, even some part of Africa. So it is really something that should stop. All right, so let us start with you. If all of us in my own generation, we are the one having our girls now. If I say I'm not going to circumcise my girls, if you did not circumcise your girls, then it is going to end with our generation, because my daughter is not going to circumcise our own daughter, okay? If I didn't circumcise her, and if you didn't circumcise your own daughter, that is how that tradition is going to end. The only reason why it's continuing is because you and me and those of us who are living now, we are still allowing it to continue. But if we, as the generation now that are having children, we decide that it's going to end with us, then it will end. That is how it's going to end. And that is why we need to create this awareness. So please tell them in the family, in the meetings, wherever women are gathered, women fellowship, women meetings, whatever meetings, We are the custodian. Most of the custodian of this culture is women. It is not men. Men don't have any problem with us. So we are the ones that need to stop it. Okay, anything that is not good is not good. Let's stop it. All right, so stop circumcising your female girls. Okay, it does not say they are not women. It does not make them less of any woman. In fact, you are saving them from problems of not being able to fulfill their womanhood. Okay, due to the circumcision, because they may have problem with infertility, they may have problem having their babies, they may have problem with so many things. That's if they didn't die from infection and bleeding and all that. So we need to stop female circumcision. So if you have any question about FGM, about all that, please feel free to ask, because today is FGM, zero tolerance to FGM day. And some of you say, oh, I'm not going to cut, I'm going to apply powder, I'm going to talk in. Please, can we just leave the girls' vulva alone? Just leave it alone. Don't apply powder, don't talk it, don't press it, just leave it alone. All right, you don't need to do anything, you don't need to wash, you don't need to, it's not itching them, it's not doing anything to them. Leave it alone. It's a normal structure made by God to be part of their body. It does not do any harm to them. All right, so I was not circumcised, my daughter is not circumcised, I know many girls that are not circumcised, and nothing is wrong with us. Okay, and nothing has happened to us. Okay, so please do not circumcise your girls. Do not apply Vaseline. Do not tuck it in. Do not apply powder. Just leave it and leave it and leave it alone. And I want you to join me in spreading this message. Okay, let's make it go viral. Let's make it go everywhere. Share it to all the grandparents. Tell them no more female circumcision. All right, no female circumcision. It's a criminal offense. It is dangerous. It is not any, it doesn't offer any single benefit to girls. All right, so we must stop it, and it must start with me and you. Okay, because if we all decide that we're not going to circumcise our girls, all of us that are generation of internet and we're reading, we're hearing, we're doing all these things, if we start say we're not going to circumcise our girls, the practice is going to die down, because all the grandparents that are doing it before, even if you can't convince them, very soon most of them are passing on. The only reason why it continues is because we continue to do it. And that is why we must stop it. Because as long as all of us decide that we're not going to do it, it's going to end. And our girls will be safer, will be happier for it. All right. So we're going to, I'll stop at that point, but I hope I'm open to answering any questions that you may have about FGM. And if you have any issues or anything you want to clarify about it, feel free to ask, and then we'll take it up from there. All right, I think I've taken enough time talking about FGM. I'll pause, and then we can start taking the questions. I'll start on Instagram, because the questions on Instagram are not many. And after that, we'll continue. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to ATP Live Monday. Baby Salaboide, I'm a pediatrician, and I'm here to answer any question you may have about the health of your children. Remember some housekeeping rules. Start with the age of the child. Try to keep the question short and concise, and try to tell us relevant information so that we don't have to do back and forth when we're answering the questions. Thank you. All right, the first question I will take today is from, this is Lumi Stride. Doctor, it's been 2 months now, and I still have a very low breast milk supply, and my twins don't get satisfied. I've used so many things to supplement, and it's working. All right, so the question is, why do you have low breast milk supply? You don't need to worry about having breast milk supply. Please go to our Facebook group. We have a guide on breastfeeding. We have a lot of breastfeeding videos that you can watch. So if you're worried and you are anxious, that alone will not make your milk to flow, because you are releasing what we call stress hormones. Okay, and stress hormones are counter breastfeeding hormones. So they stop the breastfeeding hormones from working. What makes your milk to flow is your baby sucking on the breast and you relaxing. It's not by all the supplements and everything. Okay, if you take all the supplements and you are just worried and anxious and all that, and if you already made up your mind you want to formula feed, just do whatever you want to do. But if you really, really want to exclusive breastfeed your baby, relax your mind, stop being anxious, let your baby be around you, put your baby to the breast, eat, well, drink lots of water, and let the baby suck. The more the baby suck, the more the milk will flow, because that is the natural pathway of milk flowing. All right. So it is up to you what you really want to do. But I find that a lot of mothers are so anxious and worried, and you're running from pillar to post. All those things are actually not going to make your milk to flow, because your brain is getting information that we're stressed here, we need to run away, we need to fly away, or we need to do everything else apart from making breast milk, which is something you need to do when you are more relaxed and not anxious and all that. So, but it is really, really up to you. And you really need to watch all those videos, how to increase your breast milk supply. We have a lot of them, how to attach your baby to the breast, and all those things. Those are important information that will really, really help you when it comes to doing exclusive breastfeeding. If you want to do it, you can do it. But if you already made up your mind, or people are disturbing you and telling you it's not possible, so it's all up to you, really. I'll just leave it at that. Somebody say air laundry. Good evening, doc. My baby of 24 months had difficulty popping. I guess passing stool. She asked us if she's in pain. Taken to the hospital. They use pipe for her, but she's still having the same issue. What can I do? So your baby is constipated. So the first person I always want to ask if a child is constipated is that what food is the child eating? All right. So in addition, to a 2-year-old should be eating everything you're eating, to be honest. But make sure the child is taking fruits, the child is taking vegetables, the child is drinking lots of water. You need to eat foods that are rich in fibers, foods, that have vegetables, things like that. They will really help the child to be able to pass to number one. Then if the child is already constipated, your child needs to be given what we call stool softener. Okay, so there are drugs that we give, because once there's already constipation, we need to get out those old ones that are there. There's nothing you can do about that one. You have to be out. Usually there are medication that we give to make that happen. So we call them stool softener. We have things like lactulose, we have Movicol. There are many of them. Most of them you may need a prescription from a doctor to get them. Some of them, I think the doctor, like liquid paraffin, for example, I think the pharmacist can just give you without a prescription. But your child needs to take them and then take out the old the constipation that has happened. But to prevent it from rehappening, from preventing it from recurring again, that is why you need to make sure that it's not just to give the drugs or do the enema. You need to work on prevention. You need to ensure that your child has regular bowel habits. So first thing in the morning, let the child sit on the on the WC or the potty or whatever you are using, so that the child gets to move their bowel regularly. Let them drink a lot of water. Let them take a lot of fruits, a lot of vegetables. Avoid just pastries and all that. So those are things you can do. And if you're doing all that and your child is always constipated, then you need to see a pediatrician, because there are some children with medical conditions that can lead to chronic constipation, and we need to investigate that. We need to address that. So those are the things you can do. But if there's no underlying medical cause, all you need to do is to make sure the child is eating the right kind of food, drink a lot of water, and opening their bowel regularly. Because sometimes children don't want to go to the toilet in school, or they don't want to, they are enjoying the play, they don't want to go, and that kind of accumulates the stool, and they weaken the reflex that helps them to know when to go to the toilet. So those are things that you want to avoid. So those are things you can do as a parent first. But like I said, if you have done all that and you are still having issues, then you need to see the pediatrician, and then we can take it up from there. Okay, somebody is asking, what about those use vaccine on female babies? Thank you so much for Star. It is also wrong. All right, there's no need to put any Vaseline. I don't know why this obsession with the female vulva. Can we just leave it alone? Just leave it alone. Don't do anything. It's not itching them. It doesn't make them promiscuous. All those things are myths. They are false beliefs. They are not true. All right. So just leave the girls' vulva alone. They just wash the surface the same way you wash their hands and their legs and their faces when you're bathing them in the morning. That's all you need to do. You don't need to apply anything. You don't need to tuck it in. You don't need to use Vaseline to press it down. You don't need to use powder to press it down. Just leave it alone. All right. That's it. That's all we need to do. All right. Okay. Somebody is saying, show me for K mind. What can cause swollen gum, cracked and bleeding gums in a baby of 1 year? So that sounds like a child who is having vitamin deficiency. Okay, so if your child doesn't have like tooth decay and all that, which can also be a possible cause, and your child is having bleeding gums and all that, the first thing we want to check is the child getting enough vitamin C. All right, so you need to make sure your child is not just eating pap and milk. The child has to take fruits. The child has to take things that will supply the child vitamin C. All right, but more importantly, you can also see the dentist to make sure there's also no other causes from the dental end of it. All right, so I'll pause from Instagram. I'll come back to Facebook. Good evening. Thank you for hearing me. Somebody say, please, is it good to give children malaria treatment monthly without being sick just to avoid malaria? The answer is no. Very loud no. Please do not look for what is not lost. Okay, do not give children malaria treatment monthly. Don't do that. Just leave them alone. If they have malaria, then we will treat them. If they don't have malaria, you don't begin the malaria drug. I hope you all know that every drug is a poison. Okay, every drug every drug is a poison, and that is why we pediatricians, we don't like drugs at all. We don't. If your child can do without taking any drugs, better. All right, even all this multivitamin, if they can hit their fruits and their food and get the vitamins from it, is far better than taking tablets or syrup, because each of those products have some other things they've added to them to make them into what it is. So that is number one. Number two, every drug is a poison. What differentiates it from being a poison and from being helpful is the dose. Okay, so when you use too much of a drug than what is necessary, you are turning that drug into a poison in the body of your child. So if a child doesn't have malaria, you give them malaria drugs and you're even giving them every month, you are causing problem, because all those side effects are going to accumulate in the life of those children. The same thing, some people will just give children paracetamol every day, even when they don't have pain. It is wrong. You are damaging their liver. One day they just have liver failure, and that's it. So as simple as paracetamol, that we allow you, even mothers, to use it anyhow, without prescription. If you give too much of it, you can cause liver failure. So do not give drugs unnecessarily. Do not give drugs when it is not needed. Only give drugs when it is absolutely necessary. So a child who has malaria, will have fever, will have symptoms of malaria, we need to even confirm it by a blood test. And these days, there are a lot of rapid blood tests for malaria that doctors can do in the hospital. So every diagnosis have to be confirmed. Don't just treat every child with a fever, even with malaria drugs, which is what most of you do, as if fever equals malaria. No, they are not. So there are many other causes of fever apart from malaria. So do not give malaria drugs monthly. Do not give the worming drugs monthly or every 3 months. It's every 6 months. So please, let's just avoid drugs as much as possible. Okay, let's just avoid them. All right, the next question, we turned 6 months on 4th of February. We just started complementary feeding. What kind of fruits? There's no kind of fruits you cannot give, but the most important thing is you don't give, there are fruits that have seeds. At this age, a 6 month old will not be able to take them. So most of them, the kind of fruit they will take are the ones that you can blend into smoothies, or you can extract the juice and you dilute it and give. So there's no fruit they cannot eat, but the texture or the presentation is what matters. So most of the time, you may either make them into a smoothie, like your banana, like your apple, your carrots. Most of them you have to puree them and make them into something like that. So like your orange, you can extract the juice so that the child doesn't swallow the seeds and all that. You can't give grapes, all those round ones. You can't do those ones. You have to cut it, and so you have to, you are wise mothers, use your own judgment to know what the child can swallow, what the child cannot. So at this age, 6 months, most of the food we want it to be semi-solid, puree, and all that. They can't easily handle solids or swallows as much. So you have to be conscious of that. So, but otherwise, there's really no, like, this is what you cannot take, this is what you cannot take. You can take anything, but the texture, the way you present it is actually what really matters. So if you're just starting complementary feeding, please go through our complementary feeding videos. It's so important. Please, it's available on our Facebook group. It's available on YouTube. It's available through the Global Health Media app. baby, what's the name of the Bats and Beyond Half. Sorry, I was almost forgetting. So those are the ways which can get those videos. They are very lovely, and I think you will learn a lot from them. All right. Okay. Lumi, say good evening, dog. It has been 2 months since I gave birth and I have Lumi supply. Okay, I think you're the one that asked your question on Instagram as well, Lumi, and about your twins. I think I've answered your question. I hope so. So just say the same answer is the same, really. Somebody says, "Can please, my girl of 7 months doesn't like taking drugs. Why are you giving the child drugs? The child doesn't need to take drugs anyway. I hope it's a drug that is necessary to give." So, because the way you say your child doesn't like taking drugs, as if children are supposed to like drugs, as if taking drugs is supposed to be routine. No, children should not even be taking drugs routinely. So, we should only give them drugs when it is absolutely necessary. So, we don't want children to like drugs anyway. So, I really need to understand what you mean by your child doesn't like taking drugs. Which drug are you trying to give your 7 month old? Because we don't recommend any routine drugs for a 7 month old. So, can I mix the drugs to our food? No. The answer is no. Avoid mixing drugs in the food of children, especially children who are still learning to eat complementary food. A 7 month old is just learning to eat complementary food. So, if you put drugs in that food, and the child will not want to take the food, then you're going to come back and say, my child is not eating again because you've messed up the taste of the food. So, for tell me, what is the drug that you're trying to give? Why do you need to give the child drug in the first place? And I will tell you how to go about it. So that is number one. Otherwise, I don't want you to give any drug. So let's be sure whether the drug is necessary first or not, then we can take it on from there. All right. Circumcision in females. Okay, Genevieve, I think you are answering my question about what is special about today. Yeah, so today is female circumcision awareness day, 000 tolerance to FGM. I hope all of you who are listening to me, you are not circumcising your girls. So say, let me know in comment that you take your own pledge and put your hands on that. I am not going to circumcise my girls. I'm going to encourage all my female friends not to circumcise their daughters. None of my daughters will be circumcised. I want you to take those pledges, and I want you to take the pledge that you also tell others not to do it. So I pray God will help us so we can stop this. We can make that practice to end with our generation. All right. Somebody say, thank God. Someone is saying, if we women need reorientation on topics like this. Okay. Yeah, I think that's what we're doing. So don't just fall for everything our grandparents tell us. Some of you are so scared of whatever the grandparents tell you in the village and all that. Please stand and tell them no, and let them tell you what is it that the child will benefit from it. I mean, there's really absolutely nothing, and it's a dangerous thing. And most of you today, you are not enjoying your marriages, you are not enjoying sexual relationship because you've been circumcised. So why do you want to subject your girls to the same ordeal? It should not be, it shouldn't be. So don't let it end with that generation. Let us not continue with our own generation. So let's all be doing it. So anytime you go to a program, you go to church, you go to your girls hangouts, female meeting, women meeting, whatever, let us talk about it and let's stop it. All right. And those of you who are nurses from those areas, stop it. Some of you are the ones helping some women to still circumcise again. So you will do it in a hygienic way. It won't be bleeding. No, please stop. As a health professionals, you should not do it. You know that you should not circumcise girls, and it has to stop. All right. Thank you, Cynthia, listening from Mondo State. Thank you so much, Cynthia, for joining us. I appreciate you. What about those using hot water to massage? No, no hot water massage. Don't. That area needs nothing from you. All right. No massage, no Vaseline, no powder, nothing. Just leave it alone. All right. No apply anything. Just leave it alone. Leave the vulva, the vagina, the female genitalia. Just leave it alone. No need for anything else. All right. I don't know whether I need to speak it in Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, whoever can speak that for me. Just put it in comments so I read it out. I want people to get that message. Okay. Just leave the girls vulva alone. All right. Gifted, I think I've answered your question. You don't need to ask your question twice. I will definitely answer them. It just that goes sequentially. All right. Somebody saying, my baby is 6 months. How do I give water? Okay. So you give water after feeding. You can give water during the day, but your baby who is 6 months old, we expect you to keep breastfeeding the baby. So your baby is still going to get a lot of water from breast milk. So you can give plain water after the 2 meals of complementary feed, which is what we expect for a 6-month-old. So let's say 10 to 20 meals of water after you've given, let's say, your solid, whatever, swallow, whatever you've given, you can give water after that. But more importantly, at 6 months, keep breastfeeding your baby, okay? Keep breastfeeding as much as possible. That's where the baby is going to get most of the water from. But you can give plain water after the food. So that's what is expected. All right. Good evening. My 7 week son, he breastfeed at 8 p.m. He goes back to sleep till 12 midnight, then wakes, feed, and sleep. Yeah, that is fine. So baby suck every 3 to 4 hours. That is normal. There's nothing wrong with that. Just keep breastfeeding your baby exclusively, and you can see your baby is gaining weight. The way to know your baby is getting enough breast milk, it is not by the crying. Okay, it is not by how often they suck. Okay, it is not by the fact that they want to put the breast in their mouth 24/7. Now, the most objective evidence that a baby is getting enough breast milk is weight gain. All right, it is the weight that tells the pediatrician that this baby is getting enough milk or not. So as long as your baby is gaining weight, your baby is getting enough milk. Whether they like to cry, whether they don't cry, whether they hang onto the breast for their lives or not. There are many other reasons why baby sucks. Baby sucks to get close to you. They suck for security. They just want to be sure that you are not running away and all that. So sometimes they suck for pleasure. They just like the sucking. That sucking motion actually gives them pleasure. That is sometimes what we do when we want to do some procedures on babies. We just make them to suck on something because that sucking is pleasurable, and that is how we give them analgesia. That's the way of removing the pain. So sucking is not only because baby is hungry. Some mothers get so distressed and that they think the baby is not getting enough milk because baby wants to suck all the time. Baby wanting to suck all the time does not mean baby is hungry. Baby suck all the time for all the reasons. They suck for pleasure. They suck when they want to feel close to their mother, when they want to bond with her. They do all that. So don't get yourself unnecessarily worried, thinking, oh, that means that maybe my milk is not enough, and then you now rush your formula and then you create more problems. So there are many reasons why babies suck. But the most important thing for us to know is to know whether the baby is getting enough breast milk or not is the weight of the baby. It is the most objective evidence. A baby who is getting enough breast milk gains weight. A baby who is not getting enough milk will not gain weight. So that is what we need. And so don't get yourself, and there's no reason for you to go and rush the formula because you think your baby is not getting enough milk because baby is always sucking, sucking, sucking. And sometimes baby is gaining weight, baby is getting enough. All right. Okay, let's move on. We're almost 3 months. Excessive screaming means what, ma? I don't know what you mean by excessive screaming. So you are the one telling us this is excessive screaming. We have not had the baby, we've not listened to the baby, we don't know what it is. Because as a first-time mother, sometimes what you think is excessive is still normal. So I would say maybe you should just let the doctor record what you call excessive screaming, show it to a doctor, and then we can tell you whether this baby is just happy playing baby or whether we are worried about it or not. But there's nothing, a baby is not meant to have any excessive screaming. All right, somebody says she has malaria, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so if you are commenting from the group, I will not know who you are unless you give StreamYard the permission to show your name. So Facebook user, I'm not sure who is talking about. If it is a person that was asking about the 7-month-old baby who doesn't like drug, so and your doctor has prescribed the drug, so for a 7-month-old baby, I expect that your doctor should be prescribing liquid medication or dispersible tablets for malaria, if that is what it is. So usually so that is how you give it. So for a baby, you give a liquid, syrup liquid, or you put the tablets and break it into liquid, maybe about 5 to 10 mils of water. So, and what you need to do is to just give the baby to drink it through the mouth. And there are other tips when you are giving drugs to children. Number one, most of you always like to give drugs after the child has finished eating. That's very wrong. Okay, most of the time their tummy is full. You're trying to give them drugs at that time, they're not going to take it, and they're likely going to vomit the drug and the food because their tummy is full. So there is no law. There are only very few drugs that the pharmacist want you to give after food, and they usually will tell you that. But most drugs you can give it before food, you can give it in between food, so it doesn't have to be like immediately after food. All right. So for the this kind of baby, you may want to give them the drugs separate from the meals. Don't marry the two together. Okay. Also, you can give them a little drop at a time. Some of you, the process by which you want to give the drug is as if we want to fight third fourth world war, third world war. I don't know which one we've not fought now. So you need to take it. So I usually recommend, for example, you can get a dropper, or you can get that's 2 mil syringe. You can put all the drugs in the syringe, and then you just give a little drop, and you can just go straight to the corner of the angle of the mouth and just drop it there. Before the baby know it, they swallow it from that place. Just drop it a little. Sometimes it may take you up to 5 to 10 minutes before you get everything out. But if you do it gradually like that, the chances the child is going to vomit is very, very small. All right. So you just drop it a little at a time, a little at a time. And then don't give too many drugs at once. Some of you want to give the paracetamol, vitamin C, multivitamin, but where you miss all of them, it's almost like 20, 30 mils. I don't want, it's not going to happen. Okay, that's a lot for the baby. So go first for the most important drug. Okay, it's the malaria drug. Let's do that one first. Then another time you do your paracetamol. Another time do your, just give some gap in between, maybe 1 hour two, and then you can do that. You will be more successful that way than for you to try and force everything at once into the baby. So, and usually most of those drugs should not take more than 2 3 days. So we don't expect babies to be on drugs forever. No baby should like drugs. We don't want children to like drugs. We don't want children to be taking drugs anyway. So it's not something that children should like by virtue of that. So, but when you need to give it, you can use some of these simple strategies to do it. I know some of you say no matter what you do, your child is going to vomit. Fine. Some children sometimes they will never take the oral drugs. We have to admit them and give them the drugs as injections, usually through the veins and all that. That is the last worst case scenario. Most babies will not end up with that. Most children, if you follow this my style, you will be able to give them drugs successfully and they'll be fine. It's just that you need to put a lot of patience into it. Don't be rushing them. A lot of patience and doing it gradually. Using the dropper, using the syringe method, it tends to work a lot. All right, so that's one. This is how the older children, you can put the tablets in the swallow, for example, and then you put it with something draw soup, and they swallow it and they don't even know they've taken anything. So there are methods. There are also some drugs you can give with ice cream or yogurt. So that, for example, there are some drugs that you can actually open the capsule and then you disperse it on like ice cream or yogurt, and then the child can take it with it. Or some you can put it inside a little bit of maybe something sweet like vitamin C that the child will normally take, and you put it inside and then they will take it. So there are a lot of simple, strategies that you can use like that to get drugs into children. And but sometimes some case scenario, yes, we have to look for something else to do, or we have to give them as injections. So let's hope it doesn't get to that. Yeah. Yeah. So Adebayo Islami, I say no to circumcision. It has really affected me. Wow. Thank you for being honest and vulnerable, all right? Because some people don't want to hear that. And I always find it so hard that women that are so affected, they are the same people that will be pushing for other girls. That is wickedness. So, ladies, we should stop it. Something that we know is not good for us, but we want to be pushing it on our girls, on our daughters, on our nieces, on our cousins. Let's stop it. Okay, let's stop it. Those of you who are the custodian, you are listening to me. So as I'm talking, your spirit is telling you you are the one that Dr. Bimi is talking to. So please, let's stop it. Let's stop it. Today is begging day. Let's just stop it. All right. No more female circumcision for any girl. All right. Let's just take a couple more questions on Facebook, then we'll go back to Instagram. Somebody said my baby's fountain is always sunken. We've seen the pediatrician. She said I should give more water. She has been doing that, but it's still sunken and prominent. So there are many other reasons for sunken fontanelle apart from dehydration. And the most common would be maybe malnutrition. So she's 7 months, birth weight is 2.7, current weight is 6.5. The weight of the baby is not bad. Your baby has more than double birth weight, which is what we expect. So your baby should be closer to 7 kilos. Your baby should be closer to 8 kg. Well, yeah, 7 plus 9, yeah. 7 plus 9 is what? 16. Yeah, your baby should be closer to 8 kg. So your baby looks a little bit small for a 7-month-old child, but then not so bad, but should be closer to 8 kilos averagely. So I don't know whether that has to do with the fontanelle is appearing sunken, because if your baby has very little body fat, it can also happen. So why let's not work on the food? Let's work on that food. Let's make sure the child is eating well, complementary food. Your baby is 7 months old now. As you're breastfeeding, you should be giving complementary foods as well. And let's see whether that will affect. But your pediatrician, if your pediatrician is not worried about it, then I'm not going to worry. But I think maybe the weight of your baby is a little bit on the low side, and that may be why the fontanelle appears sunken. All right. No, you cannot post a picture of your pool on our. Sorry, there are some things that we cannot allow on our Facebook group. You can't put a picture of a pool or of vomit or things that will irritate people. Come on, you don't have to do that. Just describe anything that you cannot describe by mouth. Then you have to go and see your own doctor who can see it physically. But sorry, you can also put a picture of a child genitals on our Facebook group. Some of you always put those kind of pictures. Always ask yourself, if I'm the one that come up online and I just see this kind of picture from there, how will I feel? So just think of it from your, if you're the one, another person is the one posting, will you be comfortable with that? So we need to be conscious of other people, and some pictures are not meant to be shared on social media. So baby's poo, baby's stool, baby vomit. I mean, all those things are not necessary on social media. Genitals of babies, we don't need to see anything on social media. So please don't. And some of you don't know that it is a criminal offense for people like us, that healthcare professionals, to have pictures of child's genitals on our phone. That's, most of you don't realize that it can land us in trouble. So some of you do send me those pictures, and I always beg you, please don't send it to me again. I always delete them. I don't even look at them. It is wrong. Don't do that. You are going to put those people in trouble. All right. If you cannot describe it by your mouth, then you have to see the doctor face to face. Okay, if you put a picture, that is child pornography. I know you will think you are just sending to a doctor, you want to ask a medical question. As long as it's a child's naked picture on my phone, it is child pornography, and I'm a health professional. I can lose my license to practice medicine for that. That is the truth. So please don't send it. And we don't even allow it on our Facebook group. It's automatically declined. Facebook is also going to even automatically remove it. So leave it out. Use your mouth to tell me whatever you want to tell me. There's nothing you want to tell me about stool that I cannot imagine. Is it watery? Is it hard? Is it bloody? Is it brown? Is it whitish? Just use your word to describe. If I can always figure out what you're trying to tell me. If I can't figure it out, then I'll tell you, just go and see your doctor who can actually see you physically and look at it, and that will save us from unnecessary things. So please don't send us those pictures. We can't take them. All right. So if your baby's stool is looking green, yellowish with egusi like seed, that is normal stool for baby on exclusive breastfeeding. So we don't worry about that. Yeah. So that's exactly what you should do. You've described it to me now. I already know what you're describing, so I don't need to see it to know that. So if your baby's stool is looking like a goosey soup or whatever, that is normal stool for a baby on exclusive breastfeeding. There's nothing to worry about. Just keep breastfeeding your baby exclusively. All right. Somebody say my baby will be 2 months on Sunday. When should I stop taking bottled water? Nobody asked you to take bottled water before and use normal pure water. Nobody has ever asked you not to use any water. So for us, whether it's bottled, pure, impure, whatever, the most important thing is that whatever water you are taking, make sure it is something you can drink. So no germs. Some of the pure water are even somebody just bottling them in their backyard. All right, so just make sure that you drink water that is potable. That is what it means, that is, it has been purified. So if you are not sure, you can boil your water and drink it. So, but there's no law that it has to be from bottled water, pure water, tap water. In most countries where water comes from the water, regulatory organization, they've already worked on the water, they've already purified it. So they've already put either chlorine and all that. So in other words, if you open your tap, you should actually be able to drink it directly without boiling. But if you are not sure, like maybe you are using borehole, or you are taking rainwater, or you are taking water from river. So depending on where your source of water is from. So if you are not sure it has been treated, then you may want to boil it, or you may want to add things like chemical water treatment, like water guard, or all those things. You can add it to your water to purify your water. The most important thing is that the water is purified. It doesn't have to be bottled water. Nobody says you should ever buy bottled water. It's just that bottled water, people know that most of those water are actually have been treated, but not all of them, because a lot of people also do it at the backyard. So I hope that's helpful. All right. So, but we don't recommend any particular brand and all that. So, somebody say, how can I tell if my baby's anterior fontanelle is sunken? You say, so anterior fontanelle is flat. Okay. So if it is sunken, you will see it as if it's going, as if there's a hole where it's supposed to be. So that is how you know. If you are not seeing anything that worries you, then stop looking for what is not lost. Okay. So if you see it, you will know there's something wrong. If you don't see anything, then there's actually nothing wrong. Then you don't need to look for what is now lost. All right, I think I'll go back to Instagram, and then we can take it up from there. We are running. Our time is running up. We have 8 more minutes. All right, we'll soon be done. All right. Uh, all right. What about vitamin D for children living in North America? Yeah, those of you who live in America. So there are some things that are local area based. So there are some things you do in UK, US that we don't do in Nigeria. For example, we have abundance of sunshine, so our children are going to make their vitamin D. So we don't give vitamin D supplements. But some of you live in parts of the world where you don't, when you're seeing sunshine for you, it's like luxury. So because of that, most of your children don't have enough vitamin D. So it is recommended that you give all your children vitamin D supplement. Yes, so you do what is recommended in your local environment, all right? But in Nigeria, we don't recommend any of those. All right. So that thank you for letting me know that, but it varies, okay? But in Nigeria, we don't need to give vitamin D. Musida say, breaks my heart when my 7 month old stop receiving my breast milk after I've done 6 months. So why did your baby stop receiving breast milk? You must have done something. All right. So most of you in unconsciously you win your baby when you are going from breastfeeding to complementary feeding. What do I mean? So a lot of people think breastfeeding, complementary feeding means you start replacing breast milk. It is not. You are supposed to keep breastfeeding your babies and then gradually introduce the complementary foods. A lot of mothers, number one, you just stop breastfeeding, then you gotta go and buy formula, and then you give them formula instead of the breast milk, and then you start giving them the solid, and you give them so much of those ones that the baby doesn't have a need to suck breast anymore. So it is always the approach. So that is why I always say watch all our feeding videos about complementary feeding. It is so important for us to understand that when we start complementary feeding, we are not stopping breastfeeding. You should keep breastfeeding exactly the way you were breastfeeding before, but you are now going to add the complementary. And when you are adding the complementary food, you are only going to start with a little at a time, usually half a cup twice a day. So the rest of the child's food is still going to be breast milk. So if we do it that way, your baby will be fine. But if we keep up, if you're not, oh, baby is now taking solids, then I don't have to breastfeed as much as possible. Then we go to work, then the baby is not having breast milk from the rest of the day, then the baby will forget what is breastfeeding. Baby is already being overloaded with formula and solids, and why would the baby need to suck? So we need to be careful when we are doing the when we are adding the complementary foods. Please, it is not a replacement for breastfeeding. It is an addition to breastfeeding. It is so important because that's the only explanation I can think will have happened with your baby. You not consciously but unconsciously begin to do a lot of the complementary foods, and then your baby just felt there's no need for breastfeeding. Whereas you're supposed to keep on breastfeeding and just start to add on top a little bit of the complementary food. I see a lot of people doing giving the same quantity of food and formula and semi-solids like they would have given breast milk. No, your baby is going to take only 2 meals of complementary foods for in 6 when the baby just starts complementary foods. You should keep breastfeeding, and then you gradually increase the quantity of the complementary foods and keep breastfeeding. Okay, so that is how it should be. But it's if you're how old is your baby now? You didn't tell us how old your baby is still 7 months old. Your 7 month old, you should still go back and breastfeed. Your baby should not have weaned themselves at 7 months. Put the baby back to the breast. Baby may still take the breast milk. Okay, just keep breastfeeding baby as much as possible, and tone down your complementary feeding. Don't do more than two of it a day, at most three, and then your baby will suck. And suck when the baby is with you, let baby suck as much as possible, not the other way around, not the food first. Sucking first, then you can add the food on top. All right, I yam kicks. I don't know how to pronounce that. My baby will be 2 years next week. I have never did one thing. When can I start? We recommend if you live in Nigeria, okay, which is another thing. So if you live in UK and US, you may not need to deworm your children because you're not really having much worm problems in your area. But those of us who live in Africa, worm endemic area, it is recommended by WHO that you deworm your child from the age of 1 year, and then you deworm them twice a year every 6 months. Okay, so there are a lot of worm expellers all over the pharmacy. You don't need a prescription. Just go there, can buy any of them, albendazole, combantrin, whichever one you like, and then you deworm your child, and you can deworm every 6 months. Somebody says, is it normal for an uncircumcised 5-year-old girl to feel ticklish when you wash her genital with ordinary water? Anybody can feel ticklish. You don't need to, it doesn't have to be, you can feel ticklish any part of your body. So why does it have to be the genital area? There's something special about the area and being washed. You can feel ticklish even when they wash under your feet or under your palms. So why are we narrowing it down to the genitals now? So anybody can feel ticklish any part of the body. All right. I only gave him formula. Oh, and you are not supposed to give formula when you start complementary feeds. Okay, formula is not a complementary feeding. I always want people to watch the videos because people don't just understand complementary feeding. Complementary feeding is not formula feeding. This is the most misunderstood concept because everybody just say, oh, I've finished breastfeeding, oh, let me quickly go and buy formula. No, you don't even ever need to buy formula at all because formula is still milk, but you are supposed to keep breastfeeding. So you breastfeed, your breast milk is the milk your baby still needs. You don't need any formula. You don't need any bottle feeding. You're supposed to only have solids, and you only need to give like 50 mils of it, of the semi-solid, your pap, your rice, mashed yam or mashed potato, whatever, with this add the protein and all that. Those are the things you're supposed to give with a cup and with a spoon. All right, those are the things you need to do. So I always tell people you need to understand complementary feeding first. If you don't understand, you're going to do the wrong thing, then you're going to run into trouble. All right, don't go and buy formula when it's time. Before you start complementary feeding, don't start until you've done a proper training on it. I don't know how we're going to help parents to do that. I think these are things they teach us in health centers when we go for immunization. They even do all this food demonstration and all that. Most mothers are always busy. They don't have time to wait. They just want to get the immunization and get out. But those are the things those nurses and our healthcare workers always demonstrate to us. So when you start complementary feeding, you don't need to buy formula because complementary feeding is not formula feeding. All right. So formula cancelled. You don't need to buy bottles. Bottle feeding not recommended. Okay. When you start complementary feeding, you keep breastfeeding your baby. Your baby's milk is still breast milk, okay? But breast milk alone is not enough. Then you need to give solids, semi-solid food, and there's no food in the world that you cannot give. But usually when you start, it's better to give something that is more porridge-like, semi-solid, so that it's soft porridge-like, mashed or whatever that your baby can eat. Then as baby gets older, towards 9 to 12 months, you can start giving them something more solid that they don't, not necessarily puree, not necessarily porridge, but more solid. But by the time they're about 1 year to two, we want them to be on the real family diet everybody else is eating. So this is it. So a lot of people start thinking, I stop complementary feeding and then I go and buy that formula. No, that is winning. That is what exactly what you did, which is what I was trying to explain. You've actually weaned your child from breast milk to formula. That is what you've done. Winning is not the same thing as complementary feeding. Winning means you stop breastfeeding and you give another formula, another source of milk. So, but complementary feeding means you keep breastfeeding and you now start adding other food, the real food, not formula now, not bottle. So you need to understand the difference between the two. And but like I said, maybe it's still 7 months old, so you've not really gone too far. So you can still go back and stop the formula, stop the bottle, throw them away, and breastfeed your baby. Get your cup and spoon to give your baby like the solids. So if you want to really learn more, go to our Facebook group, go to the guys section. We have all these videos. They are just about 5-10 minute videos made by Global Health Media. They demonstrated how to do complementary feeding. And if you watch those videos, because some of the will tell me I've watched it, most of you don't watch them with your full attention. You are busy doing other things, so you mix the salient point. You will never see them use any formula throughout that video. You will see them use your local food, your ewedu, your eba, your semo, your rice, your that's what they will use. They never use any formula and they never use any bottle. Everything is from the cup, it's with a plate, with a spoon. It is also breastfeeding. That's all. So that is how to do complementary feeding. There's never any need for a bottle. There's never any need for formula. There's never any need for any of those things. You never needed them. All you need is your breast milk. All you need is the food in your kitchen. You don't even need to buy so-called cereals from the stores. All the food you need is in your kitchen. That's it. The same food you eat. It's just the same way you're going to make it. Just make it a little bit more like porridge. And then later on, when they are older, 1 to 2, they can take the real solid. So that is all we need to do. I'm still going to do, I know I've talked a lot about complementary feeding, but I'm still going to do a series for the rest of the year. And I think I'm now going to highlight all these differences, which people sometimes don't get when they start complementing. It's important to get it. Once you don't get it right, we're going to run into trouble. And that is where the program always starts. But once you get it right, it's simple and straightforward. And it is children don't know anything. It's what you give to them that they learn about. All right, it's 11.9 okay for 11 months old. The weight is okay. The weight should actually be about 9 to 10 kilos. 11.9 is over the top, but not so bad. All right. Maya's kid, my baby is now refusing to breastfeed. She started when she was 4 months old. She's 6 months now. Were you doing mixed feeding? Okay, you have to tell us. You didn't tell us. Are you doing exclusive breastfeeding or you're doing mixed feeding? So if you are doing mixed feeding, you can cause what we call nipple confusion for your baby. Babies that are on mixed feeding, they find it easier to suck the bottle than the breast milk, okay? Because the bottle, most of you, your hole is so big, the milk is just rushing. The baby doesn't have to do much work. But with breast, they have to really suck it out, it's work. So sometimes after a while, baby girl figure out, I think this one is easier, then why do I have to stress myself with this one? So that's why we say exclusive breastfeeding, no bottle feeding, or you're going to make your baby confused. So you didn't tell us which one you're doing right now. So if your baby is 6 months, you can start complementary feeding, but she doesn't take it. She likes to nurse when she's sleepy. When your baby is 6 months old, their main food is still the breast milk. You are only going to add the complementary feeds, and it's a quantity that is not much, and you do it patiently. When you start day one, it could just be 1 spoon. That is fine. Day two, you can go up to 3 spoons. Don't be rushing everything. There's no rush. There is no rush. So you have to be patient and you have to gradually introduce the new foods. Again, watch all those Global Health Media videos on complementary feeding, and then you will understand that. Okay, EM Kick said they no longer do food demonstration. Really? You've been taking your children to immunize. Which health center are you? EM Kicks. Tell me which health center, which part of Nigeria you are. Because I took my children to health centers for my immunization, for the immunization. And okay, my last baby is about 8 now. And even as at that time, they were demonstrating food. And even I'm a pediatrician, I sat down there. I always, when I'm in the hospital like that, I'm a mom, I'm not a doctor. I just sat down there and I watch everything they are doing. And they were doing that. They were doing food demonstration. They were peeling the beans and cooking it and showing mothers how to give. And I'm like, this is lovely. And then showing us how to have the titles and everything. And I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about. Let me know if you have been in that setting where they do those food demonstration. Maybe I don't know. Maybe COVID. Maybe economic crisis in the country. I don't know, but they used to do a lot of those things in the health center, and that's what we should be doing, really. Okay, maybe we'll encourage them to do it. All right. Myra Keys Trips. You say you're doing exclusive breastfeeding. That's very unusual. So why would your baby be restricting breastfeeding? Sometimes when babies are initially younger, they need to suck more often because they are not efficient suckers. But when they are older, towards 5, 4, 5, 6 months, they actually suck more efficiently. So they don't tend to stay as long on the breast milk. So before they may stay on the breast milk for 20 minutes, 30 minutes before they can even finish. But when they are more, bigger and more effective sucker, within 5 minutes they've drained the whole thing. So sometimes mothers mistaken that for to mean that the children is refusing breast milk because they are not staying as long or they are not needing to suck as frequently. No, that is not necessarily true. So you need to be sure which one it is. So the fact that they don't stay so long does not mean they are rejecting breast milk, or so because they are more effective in their ability to drain the breast faster. So just make sure you are not missing out the two. They are two different things. Then more importantly is the weight of your baby that will tell us. Yeah, Abbey Road. I'm surprised. I will ask the doctor at Abbey Road because I know them. Yeah, I'm going to ask them. I know they usually do food demonstration before. And Abbey Road is not a general hospital anyway, so I don't know because they're no longer doing the health center part, but I can ask the doctors who are there. All right. The question. Okay, so your baby has stopped feeding as much as, but yeah. Okay, so is this Myra's question? You put your question in the question box. Okay, I've answered it. Yeah, so when the children are bigger, sometimes they don't suck as much. It's not because they're sucking less, it's just that they are more effective in draining the breast. So just figure it out. But the way you will know is the weight. Again, the weight tells us the truth. Okay, if baby is getting enough milk, the weight will be going up. So if the weight is static, last week I did on Thursday, I did the ATP hour on growth. If you are not, if you're still on our Facebook page, you're still on my podcast, I encourage you to listen to that so you know what the weight should be. So if your baby's weight is going up, then maybe it's getting enough milk, no matter what you think or how many hours or whatever. It's the weight is what tells us that the baby is getting enough milk or not. And now your baby is on complementary feeding. Please keep breastfeeding and adding the complimentary food. If you need more information on complimentary food, please go to our Facebook group and go through our guide session guide too. You will get all those information on complimentary feeding. Don't worry, you'll be fine. All right. Okay. I think my time is up now. Where did I stop? Okay. What is 11-month-old baby expected to start walking? Babies walk averagely at 1 year. Some may not walk until 18 months. It's still normal, so I'm not worried. If you're 11 months, it's already cruising. So standing, holding the table, and moving around the table, we call it cruising. So if the child is already cruising, it's a matter of time. They're going to walk very soon, so you don't need to worry about that. But even if they don't walk until 18 months, we don't worry about that. Uh, okay, she doesn't drain the breast, so she looks around and her tummy is very small. She's not getting, then there may be something wrong. So if your baby is not sucking, the baby is not gaining weight, baby, then you need to say doctor, because a child who is not sucking, even though the milk is there, then that is telling us maybe there's something wrong. The child is ill, and we need to look into that. So you might want to see a pediatrician for that. Especially baby is losing weight, definitely you need to see a pediatrician. Like I said, the weight is our gold standard for that. All right, let's round up. Our time is gone. I think because I used the first few minutes to talk about FGM, which is okay, which is good. Um, Okay, I think I've answered that. So the last few questions, maybe constantly have catarrh fever, we visit pediatrician, they've done blood tests, it's malaria. Malaria doesn't cause cough and catarrh anyway, but bacterial infection, you've seen your doctor giving you drugs, after 2 weeks it's come back again. Then the question is, why is it coming back again? So a child who has cough and catarrh is a respiratory infection. The child gets it from somewhere, okay? Usually it's from people in the house or whatever. It's there. So the child is getting, it's not coming from inside the child, it's getting it from the environment. So if it is happening again, the question is, where is this child getting exposed again and again? Is it the siblings? Is it you? Is it dad? Is it visitors? Whatever, the child is getting it again. I'll visit again, they will say it's malaria. Please stop going to any hospital where the only diagnosis they make is malaria in your child. Don't go there because malaria cannot be happening every 2 weeks. Okay, there's something wrong. So you may want to go to a proper hospital and see a proper pediatrician. Some of you always say, I want to see a pediatrician. You've not seen a pediatrician. It's not everybody you see in the hospital who sees children that are pediatricians. Okay, pediatricians don't just make malaria diagnosis every time and give drugs every time. Most pediatricians don't do that. Okay, all right. So they are just general doctors. So you didn't tell us how old your baby is. You just keep saying your baby is having catarrh. You must want his age of the child, which you have left out. So I can't answer that question. But anyway, stop going to the hospital where they only give you malaria drugs all the time. Go to a proper hospital. You can see pediatricians in general hospitals. You can see them in the teaching hospitals. Also, tell us the age of your child, then we can advise you appropriately. Can a girl child be circumcised? No. Oh, Perpetua, you are just coming to this program. That is what I've been talking about at the beginning. Please do not circumcise any girl, all right? Today is the day where we commemorate and we say zero tolerance. If you go on our Facebook page, you will see there zero tolerance to female circumcision. It doesn't do any single good. It does a lot of harm to our girls. So no to female circumcision. If you have time, you can watch this video again. You will see all my detailed reason why you should not circumcise your girls. Is prickly heat powder okay for my baby who has heat rash? I wouldn't know whether baby has heat rashes or not because mothers tend to call every rash heat rash. I always like to see the rash first, and then I will now tell you, oh yes, it is heat rash. You can use heat powder, heat rash powder or not. So I prefer to see the rash before I tell you whether it is heat rash or not because I've seen a lot of people say, oh, maybe it has heat rash, and this child doesn't have any heat rash. It's infection or whatever. So it's better to show us a picture of that rash and then we can advise you further. 8 months has cough and the nose is blood. What can be done? The catarrh is sick. It only come out when she sneezes. So you can use saline drops in the nose and the saline drop will soften the catarrh so it will flow out. You don't need to do anything if it's just cough and catarrh, and just maybe it will resolve by itself. Keep your baby warm. Make sure they're drinking enough water, enough. Baby should still be breastfeeding. If the child has fever, the child has difficulty with breathing, then you need to take the children to the hospital. We have a reel or something, we have this health information reel or video, just a less than a minute video that tells you what to do when your child has cough and colds, because one of those frequently asked questions, and uh, one of our interns has done a beautiful reel on even a video on what to do. So please watch that and follow the advice. Did I need your advice? First time mom, I be 17 days old. UPF. I had emergency to travel out town early Tuesday morning to a bag late evening, and I won't be able to take him along. So you just need to express your breast milk, okay? Express your breast milk. If you are going to go out for a whole day, express breast milk, and then they will give it to your baby. You see, I don't know when are you going out? Early Tuesday. Is it Tuesday tomorrow? Yeah, you can express the whole of Monday. We encourage you to express your breast milk and give the baby. We're not going to we are not in support of formula, but that's our advice. You are free to do as you wish. But our advice is for you to express You can keep it in the fridge and your mom can feed your baby with it. All right. Thank you so much, everyone. I think we're done for today. I think I've answered all the questions. Another question about baby stopping breastfeeding at 5 months. It's not normal. Definitely, it's not normal. So that means you started complementary feeding before 6 months because your baby stopped breastfeeding. How did the baby stop? It means you didn't follow our advice to breastfeed exclusive for 6 months. You started your complementary feeding at 5 months, and then you wean the baby off. That's what happened. So it is not normal, but it's you that caused it. It is mother induced. It's not the baby induced. Because if you don't give your baby any other thing else, your baby will not stop sucking at 5 months. So it means you started doing other things else. There's no absolute benefit in trying to start a baby on complementary feeding earlier than 6 months. Absolutely not. So when the doctor say we want you to start at 6 months, trust me, we've done our research about all these things before we say yes, this is when you should start. So mothers always try to think, oh, I think I can do it this way, and I think I'm going to be smarter, but then you're still going to end up with us asking us what happened again. Whereas, because if you have only followed our instructions in the first instance, then we will not have that trouble in the first place. So please always listen to the pediatrician. I know it sounds how do I put it, like a porn, a pediatrician telling you to always listen to pediatrician, but that is the truth, really. So just trust us that when we tell you this is what is best, just trust us that we know what we're saying. All right. Just follow the advice, and then we will not have to explain again why the baby stop breastfeeding at 5 months. It's not the best for the baby. Your baby needs to breastfeed as long as possible, not just to have their tummy full, it's to protect them from infections, from diseases, and all that. This is why we do all these talks. All right, so time is up. Some of you are still having questions. Please, you have to post it on our Facebook group. If you have any questions, you can post it on our Facebook group from Mondays to Saturday. And then we will try and answer your questions as well. All right. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Today is the day zero tolerance against female circumcision. So my last word for this evening is please and please do not circumcise your female children. Please and please spread the information, spread the news to all our grandparents, all our aunties, especially in the villages. Tell them no female circumcision, no benefits whatsoever. It causes a lot of harm immediately and in the future for the girls. So let's all together say no to female circumcision. I think I'll do maybe another podcast about it again, just to kind of expand more on it, because today is more of question and answer, but maybe I'll do a proper podcast. If you want to learn more about all these topics, I have a podcast. Just look for Ask Dr. Bemi ATP podcast. It's available on Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, Spotify, Anchor, all of them. Most of the podcast platform, you'll find it there, and you can just listen to some of these things there. All right. And of course, if you have questions, you can go to Ask the Pediatrician Facebook groups. We can't answer questions on Instagram, on the page, and we're sorry about that. But if you go to our group, you can post your question there, and one of our professionals, our moderators, will be able to respond to you within 72 hours. Most time we'll do it in 24 hours, but we always, sometimes if there's, like I've been online now, we'll have time to respond to your questions. So feel free to post your questions there, and we will try our best to answer them as soon as possible. Thank you so much for joining me today. Till I see you again next week on another ATP Live Monday. Have a wonderful, wonderful new February. And again, remember my podcast and ATP Hour on Thursday on Fresh Waves Radio. You can also, that is actually a teaching session. Today is a Q&A session. Thursday is actually when I do my teaching on specific topics, and address them in detail. So you can watch out for that as well. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a wonderful evening. It is Bye from me.